Hello, and welcome to the PÖFF studio. I'm Hannes, one of the programmers of the festival, and with us we have the team of Werewolf that is premiering tonight in the official selection of the festival tonight at 9 in the Escape Hall. And we have here the director of the film, Adrian Panek.
Hello.
And we have Sonia Mietelica, the leading actress,
Hi.
and Jarosław Kamiński, the editor of the film.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for being here. I would kick off with the question of it's a very interesting film. It's a thriller with some horror elements, but it also has it has a very deep context, and it deals with heavy topics such as the Holocaust and all the terrors of the Second World War. So I wanted to first ask you, Adrian, what brought you to this story, and what was it there that like captured you?
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about genre, and I was wondering why some genre types are not, specific or are not so good in Europe, for example, like horror. And I was thinking that maybe it's because the monsters are, unbelievable in Europe, like, I don't know, werewolves, stuff like this, yeah. And the only situation I can imagine which is horror situation we can believe in, it's like war, Holocaust, stuff like this. Yeah, we believe in human monsters. Yeah, so if and I started to think about it because I think it's because it's not about this film is not about Holocaust or post-Holocaust. It is also about it, but what was most interesting for me is because we as a culture, humanity lost our belief that we got some kind of divine origin. Yeah, so we think about ourselves, especially now, as a part of the animal kingdom. Yeah, I think it's even stronger after the Second War when we lost our illusions about ourselves, how we are, or so. I think it's a modern topic. Yeah. So the figure of the werewolf, the creature which is in part human, in part animal. I think it's good metaphor of ourselves now. So that's the origin of the idea.
You mentioned animals. That brings me to the next question. In the film, we have a group of attack dogs terrorizing. I'm not going to spoil, hopefully, too much, but we have a group of attack dogs trained by the Nazis, and they were unleashed in the aftermath of the war, and they are terrorizing a group of children who have escaped a concentration camp. But I mean, the dogs are actually one of the biggest actors in the film compared to the lead actors. How was it working with the dogs? Maybe especially you, Sonia, but also you, Adrian. How was it to choreograph that? Because it really works efficiently. The terror is palpable there.
So
It wasn't as hard as it maybe looked like in a movie, but the dog trainers, how to say it, were making a meeting with. We were meeting with dogs in the forest. We have some kind of trainings for children to not to be afraid of the dogs. And it was a huge fun to work with them, so it wasn't dangerous or something.
we were, because movie with kids and animals, it's quite hard to make, especially because of the time. You work with animals and children, not like with the professional actors. It takes time. So I was more afraid about working with children than with dogs. So I'm. But we were good prepared. We've got the training team from Hungary. The people who are working, I believe, in Estonian movie in November also. So they are known because they work with wolves, but they started to train the German shepherds for us. So I think the most important thing is not to show them too much, because if we don't see the monster all the time, it works better for your imagination and your feelings. So I think the main clue about this working is like this. Maybe Jarek can tell something more.
Well, the footage just shot enough to prepare attention. I mean, the tension, which in horror is very important. But we also had very interesting footage about our main characters. I mean, Sonia, two boys. The relation was so strong that we even a little bit changed script during the editing. It was big fun.
Maybe also you can comment on the editing part, meaning that rhythms play a really important role in creating a thriller. So maybe you could describe what was the approach? How did you manage to get this like pulsing strong rhythm that gives this film this tempo?
Well, we were working quite longer time about the movie in that specific question you mentioned. I mean, it appears in some parts, disappears in some another, so we were working constantly on it. But well, it's not easy to describe that as some kind of method. I think it goes day by day during editing, and somehow it's good, somehow you're still working on it because you just have impression that it's still not working well. Yeah.
And I also have a question. The film is very rich with layers. I mean, there is the symbol of the werewolf that is especially interesting for in the Estonian context. We have the wolf as the festival symbol as well. But what does the werewolf mean to you in this context? Why did you choose that title for the film?
I got this feeling that this is the story about people who are, because it's the story which takes place right after the Second War, and we've got all this post-apocalyptical stuff in it, and I must say that every character in this movie is somehow infected by this, So even the kids who were victims or soldiers who are fighting with Nazis, etc., somehow are devastated by this horror or violence. So I think it's the state, the werewolf. It's the state which very good describe this situation. So for me, the werewolf is what is also interesting for me in this, that this all fable symbols were used by Nazi, like werewolves, the organization of Nazis after the war. They called themselves werewolves. So somehow it connected the story and the context with Grimm brothers fables, stuff like this, German romanticism, and I've got the feeling that it could be the right way to tell this story like this.
I also find it very beautiful how children also have a very strong symbolic meaning in the film. Was it the initial idea that the story should be shot with children? Because in the final third, they really gain this very strong metaphoric meaning of becoming over the victim complex that is still runs in the veins of many European nations, even Estonians. We have a very strong victim complex with the mass deportations during the Second World War. How would you comment on that, and what's the relevance of that in the Polish society?
Oh, the Poland was the first country who were fighting with Germans, but the 6 years of occupation were quite bloody. The 6 million people were dead, but not only because of Germans, but also because of circumstances. Some people were collaborating with Gestapo, for example, or stuff like this. So the situation when we cannot, for me, this movie is about that, no one live, clean, that kind of situation. Yeah. So okay, we know who were victims and who weren't, but the situation and the context of this is always no one is
Innocent.
innocent. Yeah, somehow. Yeah.
But this point of view, we have it in the story. I mean, that children are the main characters and main victims, and also main heroes, and also main moving force in this film. Was very, very interesting in the script, and even more interesting is now in our film. But it was for me most important thing, most deciding. Why I'm engaged in the film so much as a editor. Yeah.
As the premiere is getting nearer, I'd like to thank you for being here, and I wish you a very pleasant international premiere tonight at 9. There are still some seats left, so hurry, and I hope to see you all at the Escape Hall in the Coca-Cola Plaza tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.